Welcome to Bet On It from the beautiful U.S. Virgin Islands. I am on St. Croix, so apologies for any lighting, technical, mic, video issues. Either way, it's week 17. We got a lot of work to do. I'm Kelly Stewart. Let's bring in Marco D'Angelo and Joe Raineri. We're talking a snooze fest of a primetime game on Thursday night, guys. The Dallas Cowboys, now a 10.5-point favorite to Tennessee, who looks like is going to be resting a lot of guys. We're going to find out for sure, though. Total 40.5. Marco, I'm going to go to you first. How in the world are we going to bet this one? We're just going to go under. These primetime unders have been so good.
They have been good, Kelly, and that's the way I'm going to go in this game. And it's because we got a situation with Tennessee. Everybody looks and says, oh, they got to win. You know, they're fighting for their playoff lives. The game doesn't mean anything. Next week's game is when it all comes down to whenever they play Jacksonville. It's for all the marbles next week. So a banged-up Tennessee team playing a Dallas team on a short week. Yeah, they're going to rest a lot of players and try to rally the troops against Jacksonville next week so that if they pull off the win and sneak into the playoffs, they can get eliminated in the first round. Yay. Good job, guys. But I'm looking at this one, and even when this team's been healthy, they haven't been able to score points. How can you look at anything but an under involving a Tennessee team right now? You look at their last 5 games, their high point total was 22. They're sandwiched in there with a 16, a 10 spot, a 14, and a 14. And that was against the last 2, the Chargers in Houston. 14 points? Come on, guys. Those are not stellar defenses. Now they're going to be playing a Dallas Cowboy team that, yeah, that defense that was good at the beginning of the season suddenly is not so good. But one of the reasons that Dallas has been in all of these high-scoring games, yeah, they're scoring points, granted, but a lot of it's because they've been involved in turnover fest. Do you realize that over the last 4 games, there have been 21 turnovers in 4 games involving the 2 teams in those 4 games? When you turn the football over, you're going to give up points, and that's what's been happening in those Dallas games. Dallas, they have no need to run up the score. You don't need style points in the NFL. They're playing on the road on a short week against an opponent they're not familiar with because they don't play twice a year. They want to get in and get out just the same. I see a lot of running in this game, Kelly, and that's going to chew clock. That's going to get us to the under. That's where I'm at. Give me the full game under. We'll see where my buddy Joe's going to go in this one. I have an inkling, but we'll see. I'm on the under.
I already know. Exactly. He's going to go first half under.
Okay, next game. Good talking to you guys. Outstanding. Very good.
We've just got you figured out so fast now. It only took us 17 weeks, but we've got it now here on Bet On It. Marco and I can just all but guess your plays. All right, tell me why you prefer the first half under as opposed to the game under.
All right, so a couple of things going on here. Number one, we know what's going on with primetime unders here this year. But the interesting part about this one is that the Cowboys are such a massive road favorite in this primetime matchup. And what we have seen over the last couple of years is that when road favorites of a touchdown or more go in these games, 27-19 to the under full game, right? So we know that it never tends to be a high-scoring game when we have these types of situations, especially this year. And by the way, Thursday night games, 15-7 is what we are looking at here when we've got games where the road team is the favorite. They've lost 5 in a row, Tennessee. They need a win. And while next week's game is really going to be for all the marbles for them, they've got to try to get one in the W column. They can't go into that game next week against Jacksonville, losers of their last 6 games. Vrabel knows it. We saw what he did as a road dog of a monster number against Kansas City. His defense kept them in the game, gave them an opportunity to figure some things out. Malik Willis gave him an opportunity in the second half to win that game. I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. Nobody has been more profitable in the first half from a spread than Mike Vrabel here and his Tennessee Titans team over the last couple of years. But that's why I'm going with the first half under. If all of those trends continue to hold true, this cannot be a high-scoring first half. If Tennessee is going to have a chance to cover this thing full game, and in the first half, it's going to be because the defense has to show up and has to make life difficult for this Dallas offense on the road. I think they will. I think they'll keep this game close enough, which is why I don't think we're going to get over 20.5 in the first half. I'm on the under. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I think this defense knows what they have to do for Tennessee. It's going to be a tight one early in that matchup.
Joe, I'm going to kick it right back to you for Sunday night football. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Baltimore is a 3-point favorite here. Total of 36 currently on the WagerTalk odds screen. A little different than we got on graphics. Apologies, guys. Man, I would have loved to have had that 2.5 because I would have teased the crap out of the Steelers there, Joe. It's a divisional game, though, so you know what I'm doing. I got 7 of them this week. I'm going under. Yeah. Your thoughts?
You know me, too, as well, Cal. I mean, there's no reason. Guys, I mean, how many more times do we have to see it here with these divisional and primetime unders? Not to mention we're talking about a rivalry here. And if you go over the last 3 seasons, the final margin of victory, you ready for this? Final margin of victory between the Steelers and the Ravens the last 3 years. 2, 3, 1, 5, and 4. That's how many points. Nobody's won by more than a touchdown. Half the time, it's not even by a field goal. And if we're going to have that kind of close game, which I anticipate we will, there's not going to be anything high scoring about this game. It's going to be a grind. And I don't see anything changing about this game. So whether it be the first half or the full game, Cal, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This can't get out of control for either the Steelers or the Ravens. They can't go down 2 scores in this game. I don't think they will. History tells us this is going to be a tight one, a close one. A lot of running, a lot of great defense. Yeah, give me the under here, Cal. First half and full game. If it ain't broke, I ain't fixing it.
Marco, you are our resident, Steelers expert, if you will. And like Joe said, I feel like these games are always 3. Always. No matter if they're in Baltimore, if they're in Pittsburgh, the bookmakers just throw a 3 out there and say that's what it is when these two meet. And that is because of how close these teams play one another. As I mentioned, I would have loved to have had Steelers in a teaser, but the line moved to 3 on me. And we'll get to teasers here in a minute, but I need to know because I am holding a AFC North ticket for the Baltimore Ravens. Do you think that they win on Sunday, or should I be hedging out of that one?
Well, Kelly, you're absolutely right about the close games, and you're absolutely right. Doesn't matter who's under center. Whether, it was Roethlisberger or a backup, if it was Lamar Jackson or it was Huntley, they always end up being 3-point games. And that's what you're looking at again here. Now, I'm going to say a couple things about this game. First, I'm going to say, Kelly, that Baltimore has to win this week and then again, beat Cincinnati next week. So that's a tall order for them to do, especially after they come off the Pittsburgh game, because we know how physical those games are. So they might be a little worse for the wear after this week. With that said, Pittsburgh, if they were playing anybody else this week, I would have been going against the Steelers. And I ran to look at my schedule after the Steelers came back last week on Saturday night. Very emotional game. At home against the Raiders. They pulled it out 13-10. We all know the circumstances, the Immaculate Reception anniversary date, the passing of Franco Harris, all of that. I said, there's no way this team picks themselves up off of such an emotional win and play this week when they're, I know they're technically still alive for the playoffs, but so many things have to go their way for them to make the playoffs. They have to win both games, and I think just everybody else has to lose. It's not going to happen, but then they're playing Baltimore, and all bets are off because these two teams hate one another. Now, I'm going to get called out by the math guys, and Kelly, you alluded to it, saying, the line's 3 now. I can't tease it. Why can't you tease it? Okay. Where is it written that you're not allowed to tease a +3? We know the series history with these two. We know that this is a total in the 30s. I'm not going to buy that nonsense that it's proper money management to bet the +3 as opposed to using a teaser +9. I'm getting 6 extra points here, 9 points in a history like these two have had. This is not a one-year history. This goes back for a decade that these two teams have played close games. I'm going to go ahead and tease and get the 9 points. Let the math guys come at me. They always do. I don't care. I'm still here. Been here for 40 years. I'll be here until I finally, breathe that last teaser that goes down. But we're here. I'll take the 9 with Pittsburgh in this game. We don't know who's going to be under center officially yet for Baltimore, but we do know Kenny Pickett's back. And Kenny Pickett, if you remember, got knocked out of the first meeting. They introduced him to this rivalry when they drove his head into the turf that used to be Heinz Field and now a Shore Field, which I hate saying. He's going to be ready for this game, and we may look back on it. It was the anniversary of the Immaculate Reception on Saturday, but it also might have been the coming out party for Kenny Pickett with that game-winning drive in the final 2 minutes of the game in that emotional game. We'll see if he can carry it over this week. This team is playing well right now. Defensively, over the last 5 weeks, there isn't anybody playing, better than Pittsburgh defensively. Their games are ugly to watch. That's exactly what you want if I'm teasing and getting 9 points.
Marco, don't let those math guys get you down. I go to battle with them every single day on Twitter, including the dum-dum today that wanted to criticize a couple of my plays while subsequently laying -350 in moneyline parlays. So if you're watching the show, appreciate you for the good laugh. See, even Joe enjoyed that one. So Marco's going a little non-traditional, and I actually trust him here because he's right. Still a very low total, and he knows his team. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to see the guy with the pin.
The Gold Sheet wants you to end the 2022 football season on a winning note while getting a head start on planning for the next season. Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter and has served bettors for over 6 decades. So if between 1957 and now, if you have not checked out the Gold Sheet, here's your chance to see what you have been missing out on at a huge discount. Each weekly edition of the Football Gold Sheet is normally $15, but for the holidays, you can get every edition from now through Super Bowl 57 for just a total of $19. If you like what you see, take advantage of the super early bird pricing for next year by locking in your Football Gold Sheet subscription for 2023 for just $99. You will receive every college football and NFL edition for next season for just $99, plus a free $59 credit to use towards Gold Sheet's LTS picks at WagerTalk. Instructions for redeeming your WagerTalk credit will be sent shortly after your purchase. Just go to goldsheet.com, click the Buy Now button, choose a 2022 Football Gold Sheet for $19, and lock yourself in through the Super Bowl 57.
Welcome back to Bet On. It's now time to visit that man with the pen, Mr. Ralph Michaels at CalSportsLV on Twitter. Make sure you guys are following him over there because he gives out some of the best information. And anytime I need the stat daddy to dial something up for me, he's always there with that database. Ralph, it is week 17 in the NFL. Pretty crazy to think about. But you have 5 systems for us and a nerd chart talking about totals.
Well, let's talk about system number 1. And this doesn't have a huge sample size. Only 30 games since the 2014 season. So a handful a year. It states that if you lost your last game as a home dog and you scored 20 points or less, and now you're a small, non-division away dog of 5 or less. So there are 2 teams that apply. Both the Cardinals and the Colts lost as a home dog and scored under 20 points, and now they're both non-division away dogs of 5 or less. This system has gone 23, 5, and 2, 82.1%. Now, the thing you have to remember is we know you have unique quarterback situations for both Arizona and Indianapolis. So does the system apply? Is it still relevant? That's for you to decide. But this system, 82.1% on Arizona and on Indianapolis. This one's simple. This is one that I pay attention to often, and it makes complete sense to me. Division games, you obviously play 2 per team in a season. Since 2015, if you lost the first game as a home favorite, it doesn't matter if you're a dog or favorite on the road in the second game, you have covered 64.2%. That record, 52 wins, 29 losses. So second meeting for a division game, you lost the first game as a home favorite. It applies to the Bears, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and next week it'll apply to Tennessee against Jacksonville. So loses a home favorite the first division game, you play on that team the second game, 64.2%. I have another division matchup here. You lost the last 2 games as a division foe. You are now a favorite this game. And in your last game, you were a non-division dog. This line has to be a dog or a favorite up to 6. So, again, you have double revenge. You're playing a division foe. You're a favorite less than 6. And in your last game, you were a non-division dog. 2 wins, 18 losses. That is 10% against the spread since 2017. The 2 teams that apply to this 10% system says to fade New England and to fade Jacksonville. So just a reminder, that last system said to play on Jacksonville. This one says to play against Jacksonville. So really, they do negate each other. 2 more systems. You're an away dog. You won your last game as a dog by 17 or more points, and you are a favorite of over 4.5. Excuse me, you are a dog of over 4.5. My apologies. So, you won as a dog by 17 or more points, and now you're an away dog of over 4.5 points. This system, 25 and 46, 35% against the spread. Which team won as a dog by 17 or more? That would be the LA Rams. And the final system, you have a win percentage of under 40%, but you covered at least 3 straight games. So who's that red hot ATS team that has a win percentage under 40%? That would be the Houston Texans. Those teams have gone 36.4% against the spread. So it says to fade Houston. So again, system 1, play on Arizona, play on Indy. System 2, play on Chicago, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and Tennessee next week. System 3, fade New England and Jacksonville. System 4, fade the Rams. System 5, fade the Texans.
Ralph, you just maybe got to the point now where I have to change my best bet with our producer before the end of the show. It's a little dicey. Don't love that one. But let's get into the nerd chart. I didn't bring my glasses to St. Croix, so I apologize. But I love this one, Ralph, because we talk about totals are high for a reason or low for a reason all the time. So you finally broke it down for us.
Well, Kelly, not only do you have your nerd glasses, but you have a bedroom background. Are you going topless for this first show in December or this week 17?
Talking about?
Oh, no,
I'm
you're not. Okay, thanks.
A fun tropical color here, and Ralph is somehow thinking I'm in a bikini. I just can't win sometimes with these guys.
Cal, all seriousness, we talk about Vegas when they set their lines. And remember, Vegas doesn't set a line where it should be. They set a line where they're going to try to get equal money on both sides. And when you have a lot of low totals, you don't need to make a total as low as it needs to be because Joe Public doesn't want to play totals in the 30s. They like betting over in those games. Same thing with the highs. Sometimes you see totals in those 50, 51s. People don't want to bet the overs because they're too high. Well, this is a pretty eye-opening chart. Dan, if you could throw it up. There's 2 divisions to this chart. The top half, totals 40 or under since 2015. The bottom half, NFL totals 50 and over since 2015. So let's look at the top half first. On the left are non-division games only, and the right are division games. Now, Cal, you and I on Twitter have gone back and forth how division totals have gone under the total. Take a look at the month-by-month breakdown. You see that division games 40 or less have gone 18% and 14% in September and October. But when those teams are playing the second meetings, when you have those very low totals, they have gone over to a tune of 66.7% and 58.1%. You see the totals on the bottom in the dark brown with the white. You see non-division totals of 40 or less have gone over 52%. That means they've gone under 57.7%. And division games with totals of 40 or under have still gone under the total, 54.4%. Now on the bottom, division totals 50 and higher. Non-division are on the left, division are on the right. This is another eye-opener. Look at the month-by-month, Kelly, for division games when they're 50 or higher. There's not huge sample sizes, but if there is a division game that's been 50 or over, doesn't matter if it's been September, October, November, December, or January, these are regular season only games. Division games totals 50 and higher have hit 57%. Non-division totals of 50 and higher have hit 54.6%. So maybe when we start tweeting out the record for non-division and division totals, we start excluding those games 50 or higher. I did look this year, Cal. Even though division totals are, I don't have the number in front of me, I think they're 63% to the under? 50 and over is 8-8 this year. So that number gets even stronger when we exclude division totals of 50 or higher. Keep that in mind.
Ralph, the only one that applies this week is Chicago and Detroit. Would you recommend our listeners staying off that game in regards to betting the divisional under?
Well, this is a 5-year sample size, and, December is 18 and 13. It's too small of a sample size for me to say I'm not going to bet it, with a 31-game sample size over 6 years. But it's certainly, when I do look at division totals and have those 50s, that record over 5 years with all the blue in those columns, I would think about not playing the under in those division games. But as far as playing the under 40 or less, that small sample size is not going to take me off a game if I like it.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, Ralph, I've just decided these divisional unders, I either have to bet them all or not bet them at all. And that's what we're going with. 7 of them this week. Thank you, Ralph, for putting me on to those early on in this football season because they have been cashing at over 60%. Again, make sure you guys are following Ralph at CalSportsLV on Twitter. If you got a question for us here on Bet On It, feel free to tweet Ralph. Make sure you tag me in it. We'll try to get some data points brought up for you guys on the show. Ralph, I'll see you later. It's time for me to argue with the teaser guys. That's right, Joe and Marco. Let's go. Marco, I have good news for you. I just checked the WagerTalk odds screen, and now the math guys can't say anything to you because it's pretty much painted Pittsburgh 2.5 across the board. I did get +3 this morning, so it keeps bouncing back and forth. If you're lucky enough to get a 3, I would highly recommend doing so. Remember, we're still betting numbers, not teams here. If you like Ravens, definitely 2.5 is the play. If you like Pittsburgh, wait until you find a 3, or like Marco said, just tease them up to the 8.5. Marco, you already gave away one leg of your teaser. Talk to me about the second leg.
Ooh. Well, actually, Kelly, I gave you that one in the Sunday night one, but I'm giving you a different teaser, 2 teams for my teaser segment, so you can maybe do a little round robin with those teasers if you want. I'm going to go with Cleveland, and God be with me. The Cleveland Browns again, but the math says I got to do it. Hey, math guys, I'm there. We got to tease Cleveland up in this one. We're getting 2 points. We got a low total. We got 2 teams that are struggling to score. If I can get over the touchdown, that's the only way to go, and I'm going to do that with Cleveland. And the pressure on Cleveland and Deshaun Watson not playing well, you know what? The best thing I always say for a struggling team is to get the hell out of Dodge. Go on the road where you expect to be booed. Look for Cleveland to play better this week on the road, and Washington's got all the pressure on them. I'm going to go ahead and take Cleveland teased up to 8 for part number 1. Part number 2, I'm going to tease Philadelphia down, and why not? Philadelphia, tease them down to 1. Just have to win this game. If the lines bounced around 6.5, 7, you can get them to -0.5. What we're doing is we just want Philadelphia to win the game, and that's what they'll do here back at home. I don't care if it's Jalen Hurts or it's Gardner Minshew. They didn't lose last week because of Minshew. He doesn't play defense. They gave up just too many points to the Cowboys last week. Yeah, they had some turnovers. 2 of them were Minshew's, but the other 2 weren't. Also, looking at this one, Philly has scored 34 or more points in 4 of their last 5 games. The Saints can't score. This is one of those ones that if the Saints are going to win this game and beat Philadelphia, somehow they're going to have to win a 17-14 game. That's not the kind of games that Philadelphia plays. I'll go ahead and take Dan's Eagles. The Fly Eagles fly. Just fly by more than 1 point this week, and I'll be happy. Take the Eagles and Cleveland in the teaser. And if you want more teasers, do a little round robin with Pittsburgh as well.
Ooh, maybe I'll just do a little 4 of them, maybe even 5 of them, and throw in the Seattle Seahawks. What do you think, Joe Raineri?
Oh, bam. I mean, you two guys just reading my notes now. Is that what you're doing? Let me tell you what's going on here, because I don't know if Marco might have mentioned it there, but I'm in total agreement, obviously, with Cleveland. I'm also, especially now that Wentz is quarterback, but I'll get to that coming up. But I'm 14-1 is what if my record is correct, Marco. The Philadelphia Eagles this year are 14-1 in 6-point teasers. If you had used them in a 6-point teaser, all 15 games, you'd have won 14 out of them. So they have been absolutely pure money in teasers this year. And yes, I'm gonna couple them or Cleveland, and I'm going to use them with Seattle, Kel. I think you nailed it there. I do think Seattle now, 8.5, I think is what we can get them at, as it looks like the Jets continue to get a little bit of money here. And this is it, right? This is an elimination game for both Seattle and the New York Jets. Even 1.5 now, so there you go, 7.5. It's elimination time. Guys, that's what it is with these two teams. Now, I do favor the Jets in this matchup, but again, Mike White, a little bit of uncertainty. We know they're going to run the ball. I do think this is going to be a very low-scoring game, and Pete Carroll, 27-14-1 against the number. At home, off a straight-up loss. It has been not good here these last couple of games for Seattle. But I do think in a low-scoring affair at home, in the elimination, this opportunity, Geno going up against his old team, I think it's going to be a tight game. So if you can give me over a touchdown with Seattle, I'm all in with Seattle. Any combination of Seattle, Cleveland, and Philly this week in teasers, I think is absolute money.
All right, good stuff. Marco and Joe, I may even get involved with the Dolphins plus 8.5.
Ooh.
We'll see. We'll see. That one, I haven't quite gotten the courage to bet yet. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, is the deli open? Maybe Marco finally has a trap game for us. And how high is Joe?
Ooh. Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.
Welcome back. Marco did not get the memo that I was absolutely starving during the show. He closed down the deli for no apparent reason. Apparently, we got a trap game on deck, Marco.
We do, Kelly, but we just don't deliver to the islands. I'm sorry. So I couldn't have a sandwich for you. But we've got a trap game because the traps were feeling a little lonely. We haven't had one in a while. But to be honest with you, Kelly, this is actually going to be a first here on the show. The deli is going to serve a trap sandwich That's what we've got today in this one. It's both a trap and a sandwich, and I'll explain why. It's not a tasty one. We're going to go and look at the Houston Texans. Yeah, you heard that correctly. The Houston Texans plus the 4.5 in this one against Jacksonville. Why? Well, let's look at Jacksonville. They are in a horrible scheduling spot. This is their 4th road game in 5 weeks. Jacksonville's on fat and sassy alert. After winning last week on Thursday Night Football against the Jets, they combined with Tennessee losing again. Guess what? Jacksonville, if the season ended today, they're in the playoffs. Who would have thunk that a month ago? The Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs. Now, with that said, the only way they don't make the playoffs is to lose next week to Tennessee. That's what it all comes down to. So they're in a precarious spot here. This game really doesn't mean anything. It is a trap for them. Will they fall into it? I think so. It's also a sandwich game because obviously winning last week propelled them into first place. It was a nationally televised game, Thursday Night Football, and they've got the biggest game of the year on deck next week. So for the old trap sandwich, we're going to go ahead and look at Houston plus the points here. And here's a team that's only got 2 wins on the season. Why would I want to take them? Well, they're fighting hard for their head coach. They're playing well. They've covered 3 straight, actually, against the spread. And they've played some pretty decent teams. They played Dallas. They played Kansas City. And then last week, they did Jacksonville a favor by beating Tennessee. I'm going to go ahead and take them to keep this one close. Pull the upset. I'm calling for it outright. We've got Houston winning 27-24. Jacksonville's been a favorite 6 times in 3 seasons. 6 times, guys. They're 0-6 against the spread as a favorite. Take Houston plus the points and a little sprinkle.
Thanks for doing my best bet segment for me, Marco. You're always guaranteed to provide some great information to our listeners. Joe, I'm on vacation. And unfortunately, I didn't bring some extracurriculars with me. So you're going to have to be the one to be a little too high today.
Got you covered here, Cal. But we're going to approach it a little bit different in this Are You High? Because I feel that you have to be maybe just a little bit high if you think about betting this Tampa Bay game against Carolina and going anywhere near the over. And I'll tell you why. The numbers don't lie here. The Bucs, get ready for this. The Bucs team totals this year. You ready? 13-2 to the under. Yes, we have seen nothing but unders. 11-4 so far this year. In fact, the Tampa Bay Bucs to the under. This is not a team that gets out and crushes teams by any stretch of the imagination. Tom Brady, his last 17 starts for the Bucs. He's been under his 1.5 touchdown prop, 11 of 17 games, and under 2.5, 15 of 17. The bottom line is they're not blowing teams out by any stretch. They're not a great offensive team. This is a divisional game, Cal, and you know how we feel about divisional unders here. They have been absolute money. But when you put it all together, unders in the Bucs 15 games this season, not only have they gone under their team total 13 of the 15 times, they've gone under in the first half 13 of the 15 games this year. So, having said all of that, they'll probably drop 85 points. But I am, to me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it here in week 17. It's got to go under, and it's got to go under in the first half. Bucs 13-2 to the under in the first half is good enough for me against a division rival with the division on the line. I think it's going to be a tight atmosphere, and I think nothing changes here. Give me the under in the first half.
Joe, I hate to break it to you, but the Bucs haven't scored 85 in the last 5 games, so I doubt that they will do so here. That offense is something special, unless, of course, Tom Brady turns the ball over. I believe it was 4 times. That being said, I'm going to kick it right back to you. Before we go to Marco Barco, I need to know who your favorite underdog is for Week 17.
Yeah, well, Cal, I'm going to go. It's going to be absolutely disgusting, but I don't care because I'm going to focus on this Washington and Cleveland game coming up. And listen, things have been going so well for Washington that they thought it would be a great idea to bring back Carson Wentz. And as Eagle fans will tell you, nothing warms their heart than watching a fan base with Carson Wentz as their quarterback get all excited at the end of the season and go, oh, this is exactly why we went out and got him. And then he opens the game up, he throws 2 quick touchdowns, and then in the fourth quarter, he fumbles twice and throws 3 interceptions. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's pretty much Carson Wentz in a nutshell here. I think they lose mobility, and while, yes, they have some nice options with McLaurin and Dotson on the outside, he's obviously a better passer than what Heineke was. But Heineke gave him that mobility factor to be able to extend plays and get out of the pocket. That's not what's going to be there with Carson Wentz. We watched Carson Wentz the first part of this season with this Washington team, and it was absolutely putrid. I don't see anything changing. In fact, quietly now, the defense of Cleveland has gotten much better, guys, over the last 5 weeks here. Ever since Deshaun has taken over at QB, that defense has gotten healthier. Myles Garrett has been an absolute beast. They've got their secondary intact. And the reason they have been able to even come close in winning a couple of games with Watson while he, brushes off the rust is because the defense has been doing their job. Couple of bad weather games in there, but the bottom line is you're giving a stationary target to a defense that has playing much, much better and has no problem coming after you. And I think Carson Wentz is going to be a long day. And I think that Cleveland's going to do enough on the ground. And I think this is going to be the best game Deshaun Watson has yet this year. And I think it's going to happen against this Washington team. And I think they're going to win this game outright, Cal. I don't even think, tell you the truth, I don't think it's going to be close because Carson Wentz is going to make sure it's not close when it's all said and done.
Marco, there is a lot of quarterbacks either being benched, not playing for whatever various reasons, including the game that you're going to talk about.
Yeah, first I just want to say, hey, Joe, good job really going out on the well that 2-point underdog, that little 2-point underdog is going to win outright. Good job, buddy.
And it's Cleveland we're talking about. It's worth 5.
All right. Al, I'm bringing a bigger dog to the party, buddy. And it's a dog, let me tell you.
Oh,
we're going with the Raiders. And guys, full disclosure, I sent my plays in last night. I'm logging in, getting ready to get set up for today. And then all hell breaks loose here in Las Vegas. Derek Carr gets benched. They announced it today. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if it's the rats leaving the ship and they're trying to throw the dead weight overboard, make Carr the scapegoat. But this has been a colossal failure for the Raiders this year. Yeah, Derek Carr had a horrible game last week. Absolutely no question about it. But coming into this one, after that performance that everybody got to see on Saturday night and what we've witnessed from the 49ers the last few weeks in their Hall of Fame quarterback, Brock Purdy, nobody was going to bet the Raiders anyways. Well, that's when I want them. And now you're going to give me an extra 4 points? I went to bed. I was getting the Raiders with 6. Now I'm getting the Raiders with 10 because of the news of them benching Derek Carr, and Stidham is going to be the quarterback. Well, if you remember, Stidham was in New England. So he knows this Josh McDaniels offense. He's better suited, maybe, and more comfortable to run it. He did look decent in preseason when he was in there. Granted, that was preseason, but he was running something he was familiar with. When we get a change like this, you generally get a spark from the rest of the team. They get excited because I got to tell you, the locker room was starting to get divided. For them to make a change at quarterback this late in the season when the playoffs are all but gone, that shows a sign of desperation. It also shows how much that locker room was divided and the pressure that was on Josh McDaniels to make this move. I think you're going to see a spark from the Raiders. So there's the angle from the Raiders side of things. Now from the 49ers side, this is a team that they're in the playoffs. Yeah, they've got an outside shot of still getting the number one seed if things play out right. But Philadelphia is going to take care of business this week, and they are the earlier game. So they're already going to know, San Francisco, what's in hand. The point for San Francisco is to get into Vegas and out of Vegas all in one piece. Tourists try to do that every day. Never works. But for the 49ers, they'll play it safe, and you're going to see a lot of running in this game. I don't want to be laying points on the road with a team that's just playing not to lose. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Raiders plus the points as my barking dog. Do I think they're going to actually pull the upset? I'm not going to go that far with the change at quarterback, but I think this one's going to be a lot closer than people think. Let's call it a field goal either way. And if you remember, this is only Brock Purdy, even though he's already in the Hall of Fame, according to San Francisco fans, this is only a second road game. That first road game was at Seattle. That stellar Seattle defense. They scored 21 points. 7 on the opening drive, scripted plays. 7 on the opening drive of the second half, scripted plays. And the touchdown in the middle was 50 seconds before the half, whenever the defense picked up a scoop and almost a score, ran it back to the 5-yard line and set them up on the doorstep. So let's see them do it in hostile environment with a little bit of a better team, the Raiders, than Seattle. Let's go ahead, take the points, and the Raiders.
Oh boy, Marco won't commit to sprinkling on the money line in the barking dog segment. What else is new? We're going to take a quick commercial break and come back.
Disgusted with you.
He's disgusted with your 2-point dog. I'm disgusted with his 10-point dog he won't commit to. I understand. Right now, we're kind of in this weird limbo this last couple of weeks of the NFL, but let's see if Ariel and Andy can shine a little light on some things when we come back.
Ready to take your favorite WagerTalk handicappers wherever you travel this football season? The WagerTalk TV app is now live for phones, tablets, smart TVs, and streaming platforms. Tune into your favorite shows like WagerTalk Today, Bet On It, and the Opening Line Report. Plus, browse through our extensive library of sports betting tips. Create your personal playlist of betting tip videos to help you prepare for the upcoming season, and set notifications to alert you when new content is added. Download the app for Apple, Android, Amazon, and Roku devices by searching for WagerTalk TV, or scan the QR code on your screen to join the winning conversation today.
Welcome back to Bet On It. Is now time for Prop Shop with Ariel and Andy. Andy Lang at Bump Sports on Twitter. Ariel Epstein at Ariel Epstein. Make sure you're giving both of them a follow. Now, per usual on Wednesdays, most prop bets aren't out yet. So we're going to wait until the end to get some best bets for Thursday Night Football. But Andy, it is week 17 in the NFL. And you told me, Kelly, don't ask me about first quarter unders. And I need to know why.
Well, we were just talking about this. The Raiders are benching Derek Carr for Jared Stidham. We've got a lot of strange things going on with teams, and there's just a lot of unknowns, and I don't like unknowns and a lot of variables. So we've had a great run on first quarter unders. We're up pretty good for the season. I'm happy with it. So I'm probably going to lay off the first quarter unders for the next couple weeks as the variables tend to not go our way when we're doing betting. So just going to focus on player props, and don't forget next week is the contract incentive week. You've got a lot of guys who can catch touchdown passes, who can run for rushing yards and get those bonuses, and teams and quarterbacks will work to get those. So keep an eye out. There's going to be a lot of articles and a lot of information about guys that you want to support next week as they try and get their contract incentives.
I love that little inside info there from Andy. Looking forward to week 18, seeing who's going to, maybe get that extra touchdown or a couple nice little dink and dunk passes to get them over their yards total. Always thinking Mr. Lang, always thinking Ariel. It is week 17, and I need to know what we're looking at for Sunday.
Yeah, let me tell you, Andy's always thinking, and I'm on kind of unemployment, so I'm not always thinking. This is the first time I think I've used my brain since Thursday, so thank you for keeping me relevant. I'm going to look at some different matchups that are really key for this weekend against teams or for teams that still are in playoff contention, teams that aren't going to just completely fall off, or players that, like Andy alluded to, could still be looking for some of the incentives that, even though next week is big week for that, you still have players that feel close enough that if they have a big week, then maybe this week they could still be performing too. And you have players that are still fighting to look like, hey, I'm a relevant player. I know that our season's over, but I'm fighting for a contract. So there are a few really good matchups. One of them, Jets tight end Tyler Conklin. He's up against Seattle, who has the third worst defense against tight ends. Houston's tight end Jordan Akins. He's also got a good matchup up against Jacksonville, fifth worst defense against tight ends. For the running back situations, again, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they are still in the mix for the playoffs. You could see their running back Travis Etienne have a huge week this week, considering Houston, the worst run defense in football the last 2 seasons. The San Francisco 49ers have also been utilizing their running back Christian McCaffrey a lot more in the passing game. And the Vegas Raiders allow the most receiving yards to running backs. McCaffrey didn't have a great game in the pass game last week. However, with this matchup, with the 49ers still potentially having a chance at a 1 seed, you would look for the 49ers to at least try to fight for that 1 or 2 seed in the NFC. I don't see them necessarily falling over in this game, and there's still a lot that they have to get into a rhythm with their relationship with their quarterback. So you could see Christian McCaffrey get some receiving yards this weekend against the Vegas Raiders.
Good points by Miss Epstein. Andy Lang, what is your rebuttal to any of that, if you have any? And also, who do you like this weekend?
My rebuttal is I'm so disappointed in myself that I didn't jump on the Conklin stat. That's a really good one. I totally missed that one. Yeah, a couple players I'm going to keep my eye on. A couple guys on the Rams, Cam Akers and Baker Mayfield. These guys are playing for jobs. They're playing for just to to be relevant. And look at Cam Akers. He has 100-plus yards rushing and receiving the last 2 weeks. He gets the Chargers. That's not a great rush defense, so don't be surprised if Cam Akers is a sneaky prop play. Justin Jefferson has gone over 120 yards receiving the last 3 games, and he has absolutely torched the Packers. The last 3 games against the Packers, Jefferson has had 169, 184, and then 58 yards receiving. But that 58-yard receiving, the Minnesota quarterback was Sean Mannion. So whenever Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson play the Packers, Justin Jefferson seems to go off. And the only wide receiver who has had 86 yards or more the last 4 weeks, Keenan Allen of the Chargers. So he's been very consistent, getting high numbers. Look for his total to go over as well.
Ariel, I need a best bet from you for Thursday night. It's an ugly setup here, right? Cowboys double-digit road favorites. Give me something to bet on for this game.
The only bet that I felt confident in is the Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns. You have to lay a little bit of juice around minus 130. However, it's a number that Prescott's gone over in 7 out of the 10 games that he's played this season. Dallas running back Tony Pollard, he's questionable, hasn't really been practicing. Pollard's really been the number 1 running back, and even if it's Ezekiel Elliott, he's a good pass-catching back, so there's a chance that they don't run as many balls into the end zone as the Cowboys have, and don't see them relying as much on the run game this week anyway, considering Tennessee is a top 10 run defense. Where Tennessee struggles is in the air, and the Titans not only are a bottom 10 pass defense, they allow the second most passing touchdowns per game to quarterbacks. My favorite prop, if this was week 10, would have been Dak Prescott pass attempts. However, I am very nervous, as we alluded to earlier, that there's a chance the Cowboys get a 2-score lead. The end of the fourth quarter is coming around. Let's say there's 6 to 8 minutes left. The Cowboys say, hey, let's not risk injury. There's absolutely nothing the Cowboys have to really play for the next couple of weeks. Let's bench Dak. Pass attempts props are super important when it comes to every single pass attempt. So I'm going to say that the Cowboys, they at least pile it on early. You get a couple of touchdowns in the air for Dak Prescott. He goes over 1.5 passing TDs, Cal.
All right, Andy, best bet Thursday night football. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm right on the same path as Ariel. I'm going to do a same game parlay. I'm going to take this. The spread is 10.5. I'm going to take it down to minus 6.5 for the Cowboys. The Titans, it all comes down to next week against Jacksonville. I think they're going to use this game to get Willis some reps. I don't think they're going to show anything special. They don't want to give anything to Jacksonville film-wise. It wouldn't surprise me if they rested Derrick Henry or at least gave him minimal touches. I think the Cowboys roll in this one. And then I'm going to take Dak Prescott to throw for 200-plus yards. We're going to lower his total. It's around 230. We're going to lower it to 200. He's only gone under 200 yards twice this season. One was the game he got hurt in, and the other was a game against the Colts where the Colts turned the ball over 5 times and they rushed for over 220 yards. I just think this is a pretty easy Cowboy win as the Titans are gearing up for next week. Their secondary is so banged up, and I don't see why they would put some of those hurt players out there. I think the Cowboys roll in this one, but to take advantage of it, I'm going to lower this to under a touchdown. Cowboys minus 6.5, and Dak to throw for 200-plus yards.
Also known as the Parlay Plus over at the Barstool Sportsbook. Little shameless plug by me. Another shameless plug. Make sure you guys are following Ariel and Andy on Twitter. Always great information, and you guys always helping me out with these prop bets I know nothing about. Love you guys. Hope you have a very profitable Sunday. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's time for Best Bets.
Stop. Don't buy that picks package or all access. Wait, what? Yep. Don't click add to cart until you check out our new deals page at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo, where you can find all the latest offers, promotions, and coupons available all in one place. These deals are updated daily and can be found by clicking deals in the nav at WagerTalk or Sports Memo, going to wt.buzz/deals, or scanning the QR code on your screen.
Welcome back. It's now time for Best Bets. And while Ralph Michaels' TNA segment almost talked me out of this one, Marco's trap game just gave me that extra nudge. I don't love a lot this week in the NFL, but I do really like Houston plus 4.5. I know it's tough to beat a team twice, as they say, but really hoping that the Jags are looking forward to next week's matchup versus the Titans for the AFC South. Just a little bit more than revenge in Houston. Texans have won 9 straight in this matchup. I do believe they're going to make it 10, but the 4.5, getting over a field goal in a divisional game is something that is really exciting. As I mentioned, Marco did all the heavy lifting for me. He mentioned that they covered 3 straight, almost had near upsets of Dallas and Kansas City. Jags have been great as well against the spread, but that was as underdogs. The hunter becomes the hunted on Sunday. This one is just too many points. Marco, what is your best bet for NFL Week 17?
Well, Kelly, this one's going to be tough to stomach. You may not want to watch it because it's no fun watching unders, but I am going to play the contrarian today. And bear with me. I'm going to be John Q. Public for a second, how they are going to look at this game. And I'm talking about Kansas City, Denver. The average bettor is going to look and say, wow, an over, under a 45 in a Kansas City game? That's going to get me looking at the over just to start with. Then they're going to look and say, wow, these Denver just allowed 51 points last week to the Rams in Baker Mayfield. How many points could Patrick Mahomes get this week? Then finally, John Q. Public's going to look, oh, wait, look, they just played a few weeks ago. The score was 34-28 in Denver. They scored 62 points in Denver. They got to go over 45 here, right? Wrong. Reason being, Denver, they're an absolute train wreck. They fired the coach finally. I know Kelly got a belated Christmas present with that firing Monday of Hackett, but that generally causes a bit of a spark to the team. The only place this team can get a spark that they have anything to spark about is the defense. So I think you're going to see some life out of that Denver defense with the firing this week. Also, they got to be embarrassed. They just gave up 51 points to Baker Mayfield. And from the Kansas City side, what I think you're going to end up seeing is a repeat of last week's game with Kansas City. They got a lead. Andy Reid took his foot off the gas, coasted home. We're seeing a lot more of vintage Andy Reid, not going for the jugular anymore. They're not covering. This is a team that wins and doesn't cover. So what that means to me is they're not going to put up a lot of points. And you're playing late December game. All Kansas City's got to do is win. We're getting close to the playoffs. They have home field locked up right now. They don't need style points. Just win and move on. but you also don't want to get people hurt. So I look for them to run the football in this game a good bit with the lead. That all adds up to an under. I'm looking at this like Kansas City, like 28-10, but I don't want to lay that many points with Kansas City because they just don't cover spreads. But add up 28 and 10, that's 38. That's pretty well under 45. I'm going under for the best bet.
Joe, Marco is finally on the divisional under train with us.
Yay!
You love to see it. I already played that one as well. So which divisional under are you taking for your best bet?
Ooh, well, and it's week 17, so there's no point in mixing it up. I'm also going to pick a divisional matchup, but I'm going to go in the first half, Cal. I'm not going to go total, but I am going to go with the Lions in the first half of their matchup against the Chicago Bears. And here's what I'm thinking here. Detroit 11-4 against the number in the first half this season, while the Bears have been one of the least profitable. 5-10, just 33%. We know Chicago's defense is absolutely hot garbage, but especially in the first and second quarter of games. Meanwhile, you've got a Detroit team whose defense isn't great, but during that win streak, they put it together. But the problems with Detroit's defense always happen in the second half, not the first half. They got absolutely smacked last week. I think they're going to want to come out firing. They are home. They know their playoff chances. They've got to come out and they've got to handle business. And I think they will do just that. I think they'll come out. There is no incentive. I don't care what anybody says. Chicago, what is the purpose of you winning any more games this year? I have absolutely no idea. I don't trust them at all. I especially don't trust them early. I think Detroit handles business early in this game, goes into the lead goes into the half with a nice lead, and we can cash a ticket in the first half, backing the Lions to get back on track against the Bears.
All right, Joe says there's nothing to play for. Marco hopes there's nothing to play for, and I just hope that neither team has fun and the Texans somehow win this game. The end. So on vacation mode at this point, you guys. I am ready for some sort of adult beverage. Everybody just got back to the house, so we're taking our last commercial break because I got to get this recap done.
The Gold Sheet wants you to end the 2022 football season on a winning note while getting a head start on planning for the next season. Founded in 1957, The Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter and has served bettors for over 6 decades. So if between 1957 and now, if you have not checked out The Gold Sheet, here's your chance to see what you have been missing out on at a huge discount. Each weekly edition of the Football Gold Sheet is normally $15, but for the holidays, you can get every edition from now through Super Bowl 57 for just a total of $19. If you like what you see, take advantage of the super early bird pricing for next year by locking in your Football Gold Sheet subscription for 2023 for just $99. You will receive every college football and NFL edition for next season for just $99, plus a free $59 credit to use towards Gold Sheet's LTS picks at WagerTalk. Instructions for redeeming your WagerTalk credit will be sent shortly after your purchase. Just go to goldsheet.com, click the Buy Now button, choose a 2022 Football Gold Sheet for $19, and lock yourself in through the Super Bowl 57.
Loving to see lots of agreement here in week 17 between Joe, Marco, and myself. We're going to start off with Thursday night football, and everybody loves the under. Marco and I like the game under 40.5. Joe is going with the first half under 20.5. And then on Sunday night, Joe and I both like the under. We both played it under 35. And Marco says, don't overthink it. Just tease the divisional underdog over the touchdown, which I also agree with. I also agree with his Cleveland +8, Philadelphia down to a half. Joe agrees with that, Philadelphia down to a half, Seattle +7.5, and somehow in that mix, I'm going to add Dolphins +8.5, which is absolutely, utterly terrifying. Marco did the heavy lifting for me on the trap game, even though Ralph Michaels tried to talk me out of Houston +4.5, which is also my best bet. Joe said take another divisional under. First half, though, for Carolina, Tampa Bay, under 20. Barking Dogs, he's going to take Cleveland +2. That little tiny Chihuahua better win outright, Joe, because Marco's got a lot of work to do with Vegas +10. His best bet, Denver, Kansas City under 49.5. Yep, another divisional under. And Joe's going with another divisional opponent in Detroit. But he said, just take him in the first half. Chicago has nothing to play for. Appreciate you guys dealing with this lovely master bedroom suite so that I can be plugged in and hardwired for you guys while here on beautiful St. Croix. I've got some drinks to drink, and we ran through this one pretty quick. But we love you guys for hanging out with us each and every week here in Beta. From Joe, Marco, Ariel, Andy. Who else? Ralph Michaels, our producer, Dan, Go Birds, and our graphic guy, Will, who I think is a Washington football team fan, but I'm pretty sure even he wants to take the 2 with the Browns, with Carson Wentz under center. We love you guys. Jump in the comment section. Smash that like button. Marco's over here with the tiny fingers. I don't want to even know what is going on in his head right now. We love you guys. Until next week, let's bet on it.